Anna Bolden, also known as Anna B. Weaver later on, was born enslaved in 1859 in Cumberland County, Virginia, on the plantation of Blake Woodson, who was a clerk of court. Anna's father was also born enslaved. Anna's father taught himself how to read and write. Anna and her two brothers attended school with white children. Anna B's family later moved near Albany, New York, but later moved back to Virginia to the Hampton area where her brothers attended Hampton Institute, also known as Hampton University. William B. Weaver was born free in Winston, Hertford County, North Carolina, in April 1853, the sixth of Willis and Sally Weaver's 14 children, 9 of whom lived to adulthood. William B. Weaver's daughter said that his complexion kept him free. Anna's brother met William B. Weaver, and he also helped Anna secure a position in a log cabin school that taught 75 children, along with Mr. Weaver. That following year, they became married. Both of them established a Gloucester training school that housed 196 students. In 1887, they founded Caposic Academic on their farm in Gloucester, where they helped train children to prepare them to enter into Hampton Institute. After this, they began to plan a home for orphans. Mr. Weaver established history of teaching in and improving schools on the East Coast. The Weavers had an idea to create an orphanage for black children. The orphanage was established when the Weavers noticed during Jim Crow that there weren't any available foster homes for black children. The Weaver Orphanage Home was a well-furnished building that was about 100 acres of land that housed 50 orphan boys and girls. The orphan was built in 1903 and opened in 1904. This was located at 1324 West Queen Street, which is now the McDonald's Nursery. The Weavers paid $2,800 for 25 acres on the outskirts of the city in Hampton. This was in 1902. They started building it in 1903. The Weavers family moved into the house in March 1904. In the words of William B. Weaver, we wish to say here that one of the marvelous facts was that the Lord only permitted us, from the beginning, to have enough food to last from one day to another. It looked to be foolish to open our doors to others when we could barely provide for ourselves. But our faith in God enabled us to open the door to let them in. And our great joy has been we are more bountifully fed with 31 persons that we were when we were 6 only. It is said over 500 children had been reared and trained for life thanks to the Weavers. The orphanage was located on the farm, which provided the children with fresh produce, eggs, and dairy products to help with their healthy diets. The farm was considered a valuable part of the boys' education, just like the nearby Hampton Institute, which realized it could not operate based on student labor alone. The Weaver home retained the farm more for its educational and nutritional value rather than for profit. There were children ages 6 to 14 who resided in the home. It was reported that the average time spent at the home by a child is about 3 years, though some stay 6 or more years. In some of the letters found, the Weavers were referred to as Mom and Dad. It was said that the children adored the Weavers, and they affectionately called Mr. Weaver Santa Claus due to his snow white beard. After William's death, Anna B. continued working and supervising the orphanage for a few months until their daughter and her husband, Mr. Spillman and Mrs. Ruth Fagan, left their jobs in Philadelphia. They left their jobs in Philadelphia because they came home to Hampton, Virginia to help the Weavers' orphanage. Mrs. Weaver died, according to the Daily Press, on September 16, 1943, at the age of 84. This is a tombstone of the Weavers. As you notice, Anna B. name isn't etched in the tombstone. I only seem to wonder why this wasn't so. But it is noted in the Daily Press that she was buried in Elmerton Cemetery as well. Maybe they didn't have time to etch her name in the tombstone, but I can assume that she's buried here because there's a blank name and then there's William Weaver's name. The Weaver Orphan Home continued to operate on donations and self-help until the late 1940s. Mr. and Mrs. Fagan continued to manage this home all the way up until 1965. Mr. Fagan was 75 and Mrs. Fagan was 67. They couldn't find anyone to take over the home, so the orphanage final days was in 1965. In Hampton, Virginia, there is a street honored in their name. The Weaver Orphan Home continued to operate on donations and self-help until the late 1940s. Mr. and Mrs. Fagan continued to manage this home all the way up until 1965. Mr. Fagan was 75 and Mrs. Fagan was 67. They couldn't find anyone to take over the home, so the orphanage final days was in 1965. In Hampton, Virginia, there is a street honored in their name. I hope this video was informative. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you. We are the seed.
What the captain said, what the captain said, now for you boys work, now for you boys work, gonna teach you pretty well, gonna teach you pretty well, now for you don't work, but if you don't work, gonna give you plenty help, gonna give you plenty help. Well, I'm long gone, 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 I'm long gone. What you gonna do? Well, you read on down. 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 About the chapter 16. About the chapter 16. Well, I wrote John said. 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 If you borrow. If you borrow. If you borrow. If you borrow. I'm a dropping on down. I'm a dropping on down. With my weed and day. With my weed and day. All are in my hand. All are in my hand. Gonna kill every weed. Gonna kill every weed. That's in this land. That's in this land. I'm a long gone. Oh, long gone. I'm a long gone. I'm long gone. I'm a long gone. I'm long gone. What you gonna do? Oh, gone, John. Well, the John said. John said. In the chapter 14. In the chapter 14. Let a man die. Let a man die. If you never